It was a quiet evening when the first signal came in. A hum, soft yet unnerving, echoed through the speakers. No one knew it then, but that sound would change everything. Sarah had always been fascinated by space, but even she couldn't have predicted the events that were about to unfold. Working as a lead scientist at the Global Space Observatory, she had spent years monitoring the cosmos for signs of life. Late one night, as she sat alone in the dim light of her lab, the silence was broken by an unexpected signal. The hum had a rhythm to it, unlike anything they had ever detected before. It wasn't a random glitch or interference. This was something deliberate. A message. Sarah quickly alerted her team, and soon the observatory was buzzing with activity. The excitement was palpable, but so was the fear. Could this really be an alien signal? Was Earth about to make contact? The thought of it terrified and thrilled everyone in equal measure. For the next few hours, they worked furiously to decode the message. It was clear enough that it wasn't in any known language. Sarah, with her expertise in linguistics and pattern recognition, took charge of trying to make sense of it. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The message was simple but direct. "We are here. Will you listen?" It was the first time humanity had ever received a direct message from another civilization. The world went into a frenzy. Governments, military, and scientists scrambled to make preparations. What would they do next? What could they do? Sarah was tasked with leading the communications team. The pressure was overwhelming, but she knew it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. She had to be the one to respond. However, no one knew exactly how to reply. Would sending a message back be the right choice? Or was it too dangerous to make contact? The debate raged on. Amidst the chaos, something strange happened. The hums grew louder. They were no longer just a faint sound, but something more tangible. People in nearby cities began to hear it, too. Not just through radios or equipment, but with their own ears. It was as if the world was being drawn into the same frequency. The mystery deepened. The signal wasn't just an invitation to communicate, it was an invitation to something else. Something far more profound. Sarah's team began to notice anomalies in their equipment. The data streams weren't just showing alien signals, they were also showing disruptions in the atmosphere. Was this a warning? Or was something bigger coming? As the days went by, the tension built, with no one knowing what to expect next. After weeks of preparation, the world's leaders decided to make contact. There was no turning back now. Sarah was chosen to be the one to deliver the message back to the alien presence. They had decided that sending a simple acknowledgement of their existence would be the best course of action. The night before the planned communication, the hums grew louder. It wasn't just in the lab anymore, the sound was everywhere. People across the world could hear it. It was as if the signal was now physically present. The next morning, when Sarah arrived at the observatory, something strange had happened. The atmosphere felt different. The air was heavier, almost as if it was charged with energy. As she walked into the lab, she noticed that her team had already begun their work on transmitting the reply. But there was a shift in the air, a shift that made her uneasy. Then it happened. The first touch. The signal they had been receiving for weeks suddenly intensified. The hum became a pulse, a rhythmic vibration that filled the room and caused the equipment to react in ways they couldn't understand. Suddenly, a strange light appeared in the sky, visible to everyone around the globe. It was not just a flash, it was a wave of light that rippled through the atmosphere, bending space itself. Sarah watched in disbelief as the wave seemed to pass right through her, touching her in ways she couldn't explain. It was as though the light was more than just light. It was a sensation, a feeling, a communication beyond words. The world held its breath. Everyone felt it. The first touch wasn't just a visual phenomenon, it was a shared experience. People around the world began to speak of it in hushed tones, trying to explain what had just happened. Some believed it was a sign of peace, while others feared it was a harbinger of something more sinister. But Sarah knew one thing for sure. The touch had connected them with something far more advanced than humanity could ever have imagined. The waves of energy kept coming. It wasn't a message in the traditional sense, but it was a language nonetheless. A language of energy, of sensation, of knowing. Sarah could feel it deep within her bones. It was as if the very fabric of reality was being reshaped by the contact. The world around her seemed to blur, and for a brief moment, she felt like she was no longer alone in her own body. Something or someone was with her. It was an alien presence, but it wasn't like anything she had expected. There were no words, no physical forms, no ships or ships' crews. It was simply a vast, indescribable presence. And it was aware of them. Sarah had no idea how long the sensation lasted. When the light finally faded, the world seemed eerily still. The hum had stopped, but the sense of connection remained. The feeling of being touched by something not of this world stayed with Sarah long after the experience ended. In the days that followed the touch, the world was in chaos. Governments scrambled to understand what had happened. Was it a blessing? A curse? And most importantly, what would happen next? For Sarah, the questions were personal. The touch had left an indelible mark on her. It wasn't just a signal or a message, it was a connection. An unspoken understanding had passed between her and whatever had reached out. She could feel it in her mind, in her soul, even if she didn't fully comprehend it. But there was one thing she did know: she couldn't go back to life as it was before. As more and more people across the world reported similar experiences, it became clear that this was not just an isolated phenomenon. Humanity had been touched by something extraordinary. But what did it mean? Days turned into weeks, and the world remained on edge. Some believed the aliens would return, bringing technology, peace, or even war. Others feared the touch had unlocked something inside humanity, a new stage of evolution, perhaps. Or worse, a signal to awaken something that should have remained dormant. Sarah began to receive more and more communication from the alien presence. The touch had opened a door, and now they were communicating with her in ways she couldn't quite understand. There were no words, no symbols. But there were visions, flickers of images, concepts that danced in her mind. At first, they were incomprehensible, but soon she began to piece them together. The beings who had touched them were not invaders. They were watchers, protectors, guiding humanity toward something greater. But it wasn't an easy path. The touch had unlocked something within humanity's collective psyche, and not everyone was ready to face what it meant. Some sought to control it, while others wanted to destroy it. There were factions that feared what the future would hold, and factions that hoped to embrace it. Sarah realized that the decision wasn't just about responding to the aliens, it was about humanity deciding what kind of future it wanted to have. Would they reach out to the stars with open arms, or would they let fear dictate their actions? The alien presence had given humanity a gift, an opportunity to evolve, to connect, to transcend. But the choice, as always, lay in their hands. In Sarah's hands. In the final moments, as she stood before the world leaders, Sarah made the decision. They would not respond with fear, nor with arrogance. They would listen. And as she sent the message back to the stars, she felt the touch again. This time, it wasn't a wave of energy, it was a warm embrace.